Hey everyone, Rob from Southgate Media Group here. Before we get started with this podcast, we have a quick message. If this is your first time checking out the show, we love that you found us and we really hope you enjoy it. What we have to say is for the subscribers. If you enjoy our shows, would you please donate to help keep these going? We don't want to have to put traditional ads on these shows, but this does cost money. So we really do rely heavily on donations. To make a donation to the show, please go to our website, www.southgatemediagroup.com. Go to the page for the show, and in the upper right-hand corner is a donate button. It takes you right to PayPal, and you can donate whatever amount you want. Thanks a lot for listening, everybody. And now on with the show.
Welcome back to, what's this podcast called again? It's been so long, Kelly. Queen Consolidate, a podcast dedicated to the hit CW show starring Stephen Amell and Emily Bett Records. I know, shots fired, and it's like 5 seconds in, shots fired, shame on me. I'm Lilith, and joining me as always is my lovely co-host and my better half.
Hey, it's Kelly.
We're talking about episode 316, the offer, or should I say the demand? I have lots to say about this episode, but they're all variations of, this isn't Batman. Stop making it Batman. Why are you doing this to me? I don't understand what's going on with Arrow. I just, like, the last 2 episodes, like, Nanda Parbat, it was filler. This episode was filler. Like, it should have been way more action, a lot more pathos. Like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, I get the setup, you know, that they're pulling a Batman. You know, they're sending Ra's.
Why? We have so many other things that are specifically Green Arrow centric. Why do we need to have Ra's al Ghul offering him the demon's head? Why do we need this?
Right. Well, and him coming and busting up Central City, busting up Starling City even more. You know, isn't Starling City busted up enough on its own?
Like, honestly.
I keep expecting to see the train going through, you know,
monorail,
the Wayne Building. Yes, I keep expecting to see that. This is just reminding me of the Batman movie. Sorry, it just is.
When a person like you says it, like, that's when they've really gone over the edge. Like, okay, diehard comic book fans who just go, okay, this is so Batman. But when just like casual like people say that aren't like you know, fight you about something every week, say it, okay, dude, it's time to change your game.
It really is. This is yeah. I enjoyed Batman the Animated Series movie better than I did Arrow this week.
Well, it's a classic, so that's not saying much. Whereas Arrow has, like, they give us episodes like, what was it, 314 that I really liked.
Yes.
And then they do this to me 2 episodes in a row. I'm really tired of this roller coaster. I'm looking for some consistency.
Yeah, we keep being Merlined.
Oh, let's get there. I gave you the synopsis, so would you please be a dear?
Sure. Still weighed down by his last meeting with Ra's al Ghul, Oliver returns home to find a new villain and his crew have started terrorizing Starling City. Michael Amar, a.k.a. Murmur, a man whose mouth has been sewn shut. Kind of like opposite of the Joker. Meanwhile, Laurel and Nyssa bond over their issues with their fathers. Well, everybody's got daddy issues this week.
The best cowboys always have daddy issues.
And Nyssa makes Laurel an offer. They is forced to come to terms with her father after Oliver brings Malcolm to the loft to recover, and Lance shuts out both Laurel and the Arrow.
So this episode was written by Beth Schwartz and Brian Ford Sullivan. Brian Ford Sullivan has kind of been in high demand on Arrow. I usually kind of enjoy his work. I really love Beth Schwartz, mom approved, text from mom, and she's also the overall story editor. I don't know if you guys know that about Beth.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And I do enjoy Beth. She brings this really fun kind of dialogue usually with her episodes, or she gives you really emotional things, which is the case in this episode. So I feel like there's a point to this episode. It definitely wasn't filler, but it felt like filler, unfortunately. But there was some great stuff in this filler. Like, it wasn't there's a difference between filler and standalone, and I don't think we've had a standalone episode of Arrow in quite a while. And I think that maybe we should go back to that formula of standalone episodes and stop trying to force everything into an arc. I think maybe might be the problem.
That could be. I think we've run such a long arc with Merlin that I think we're just having Merlin fatigue. I'm just waiting for, the king to off him. Somebody's got to off him or something's got to happen that he disappears.
Yeah. Like, he needs to be dead. But more on that later. This episode was directed by Dermot Downs. I believe this is like his second episode, maybe. He directed an episode of The Flash, which was Plastique, which is why that name looks familiar. And he also he also directed The Return for Arrow. That was a quick turnaround for a director. We usually don't see that. Well, I don't know what to say about it. The aesthetics were pretty much par for the course of Arrow. There's nothing fancy, nothing noteworthy. And I don't mean that in a bad way, just in a neutral way. Did you notice anything cool about the directorial aesthetic?
Not really. There were some interesting little shots here and there, but it seemed like in the style of what we've been seeing here in the last few episodes.
The scoring, though. Oh, what a treat.
Yes.
Blake nearly came to play with this episode.
Thank you, Blake.
I enjoyed it a lot. It perked me up a lot. Our guest stars were Matt Nable as Ra's al Ghul, Katrina Law as Nissa al Ghul, Carl Yoon as Masao Yamashiro, a.k.a. Sarab the Phantom, Adrian Glenn McMorrin as Michael Amar / Murmur. And then we had Selena Jade as maybe a shadow clone. I was so happy to see her back. Like, that was like the best cliffhanger ever in a long time. If you guys don't know, I am a huge Selena Jade fan. I'm a huge Shadow fan. I was always really ticked off with the way that she died. So
I had to laugh. Today I saw somebody analyzing the eyebrows to make sure it was actually Shadow.
It's just funny because on the Arrow Wiki, it just says Selena Jade. Like, it doesn't say /Shadow. So maybe they're onto something. Maybe it's not supposed to be Shadow.
Or maybe it's her sister, or maybe it's a clone.
I've been waiting for Arrow to pull the clone card, dude. You don't even know. I'm telling you, they're gonna pull that clone card, dude. It's gonna be for Sarah. It's gonna be all bad.
Either that or Lila.
Ooh, that would hurt too much. That would hurt. It would be like Austin Powers.
It would totally make sense, though.
It would, but it would be like Austin Powers, and I would die. I would die from laughter. So let's just get into the breakdown. Now, everybody keeps touting this as an emotionally charged episode, and I just have to say I apologize for leaving in the middle of a live tweet. I was literally bored to tears and wanted to be live tweeting the Empire finale. I'm just going to be really honest with you guys.
Oh, wow.
Everybody was tweeting the Empire finale, and I was just like, really? Like I literally tweeted, where are my usuals? Oh, they're all tweeting the Empire finale. I don't know. I literally got bored and cut the TV off and went to bed. I don't know what everybody else was raving about. I literally can't figure it out.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I see I could see it with the whole Thea and Nissa thing. That was pretty dramatic. Go ahead and kill me. I deserve it.
But she doesn't, because Thea's the best person on this show.
Well, yeah. But she thinks she does, because she has this guilt, even though she didn't knowingly do it. And, everybody thought that Nissa was just gonna kill her, and I didn't either. Because she would have more respect for both of them, really. and which is what ended up happening. But, it just, that was a pretty emotionally charged area. But, other than that, I wasn't that convinced.
Well, we start this episode off where the last episode ended. Actually, kind of rewind backwards.
Yeah,
which drives me crazy. It was like, what? We don't need to see this again. But Roz invites Oliver, to his table, and he's like, telling him.
Nissa's mad because Oliver's alive.
Oh, yeah. She was acting like a petulant child, so I fast forwarded through that.
Yeah.
My bad. Yeah, you're right. I'm not going blow by blow, though. I just want to get to the meat potatoes. Yeah, so they have, I'm just going to start with the important part. Roz is talking to Oliver, and he's like, hey, I see your struggle. I respect you. You didn't die at my sword, blah, blah, blah. Hey, I want you to be the next Ra's al Ghul.
You know what I was thinking? I'm not the Dread Pirate Roberts.
Oh my God, you're like the second person to say that, I swear. It's not even funny. So Oliver's like, so if I refuse, what's gonna happen? He's like, oh, nothing. I'm gonna let you and Diggle and Malcolm walk out of here as a gesture of good faith. Okay. He gets the squinty eyes of disbelief on that, but okay. We head back to Starling City, where in the Foundry, Thea confesses to killing Sarah to Nyssa, and Thea lets her out. But Nissa's like, there'll be no justice in killing you. The blood debt ends with Malcolm. And then Roy and Laurel burst in, and then Thea shoves Nyssa back into the cage, and he's like, what happened? I don't know. She must have got out. What? Meanwhile, back at the loft, Oliver comes home with their new house guest, Malcolm Merlin, and I wanted to slap the crap out of Oliver.
Yes, put him up in a hotel.
Why couldn't they put him in the Foundry? In that cage?
Or put him on the island and in the Argus prison where they never feed Slade.
I wouldn't want to take that chance. I definitely want to keep an eye on Malcolm because he causes grief, strife, and chaos wherever he goes. That's the part that just felt really forced. It's we have to have Malcolm stay at the loft.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Exactly.
And then Oliver goes to the Foundry and he's avoiding all these questions about what happened. And he's like, Nyssa, you're free to go. And Nissa's like, what?
Yeah.
So then a robbery, literally at that moment becomes just what? Okay, we were literally 15 minutes in at that point, and we were just getting the villain. What the hell? Oliver, Roy, and Laurel suit up, and Diggle stays behind to have Chinese food, presumably with Felicity. Who knows what he does? He's certainly not in the field, but whatever. The Arrow Arsenal and Black Canary break up the robbery, but its ringleader, a man who has his mouth shown up, escapes. And dun dun dun! It's a DC Comics villain named Murmur. The crowd yawns.
The reverse Joker.
The Arrow brings the captured thieves to the precinct where Captain Lance works, but of course Captain Lance is a little bit furious with the Arrow for lying to him about Sarah's death. They broke up.
Oh.
I love that scene though. He talks about how he threw in with him and, for what, basically. He's corrupted both of his daughters in his eyes. The Arrow has corrupted Sarah and Laurel. That was heartbreaking. But not as heartbreaking as a scene that's coming up.
Little does he know that, the reason he didn't tell him.
Well, he can't do that.
Nope.
And even if he did, would that excuse Laurel? Because Laurel didn't know that part. And she played on his heartstrings as Sarah. You know what I mean?
Right.
Laurel's was definitely the bigger betrayal, which is why I get what he says to her, but it still hurts. So we swing over to have a visit at Palmer Technologies because we haven't checked in with Ray and Filet in a while. So they get their flirt on and Oliver interrupts and he heard all the stuff, the kissy goo goo stuff that was going on. And he tells her about the robbery and Lance shutting him out. And then we cut to Laurel who visits Thea, but really she's trying to get her eyes on Malcolm. But really she's actually kind of checking on Thea too. I think maybe Malcolm was the cover story because I feel like Laurel really does care about Thea. I really enjoy their interactions.
Mm-hmm.
They both really kind of actually need each other. And I hope that Nyssa pulls Thea into whatever she's going to do with Laurel as well. I would love to just have a badass lady trio.
That would be awesome.
So Thea, talks about all the pain that Malcolm has put her through. And, then after Laurel leaves, Malcolm tries to get Thea to kill him. And I'm just like, man, just leave the poor damn girl alone.
Yeah.
Like, every time you open your mouth, I just want to throttle. I just want to put the pillow right over his head. Just
He is very, very twisted.
Yeah. So, meanwhile, back in Nanda Prabhat, Mrs. finally makes her way home, and she's like, why is Malcolm alive? And Raj, goes, hey, I made this offer to Oliver to be the next Demon's Head, and she has a temper tantrum, and she tries to cut his teeth with her blade.
She's like the petulant little child when it comes to that scene.
She is, and she's like, I will not stand here and have my birthright given away. He's like, well, then don't. And I'm like, that's cold, bro.
Yeah.
And then all I can think in the back of my head is, man, this would be a perfect time to bring in Talia al Ghul. I mean, if we're going to do Batman, let's do it the right way. That is all. So anyway, back in Starling, Roy plans to ask around the underworld about the diamonds they recovered.
That doesn't seem really bright.
It's Roy.
Yeah, well.
Oliver tells Diggle about Raz's offer and the prophecy, and Diggle actually unfolds his arms and like the first time ever. Like he wants to smack the crap out of Oliver, right?
Yeah.
He's like, in what world does Ra's al Ghul think you would say yes? It's just like, Oliver is not that bright and he's easily persuadable. That's all I'm saying. He is.
Especially lately.
I get whiplash with this boy.
Well, I think part of it is because he's lost his focus.
Yeah, he's lost his way, definitely. And that's what this season's supposed to be about. But like, dude, we're at episode 16 of the third season. I'm sick of this identity crisis.
Yeah.
I mean, we've explored this to death. Literally.
Yeah. Literally.
So, and Oliver's like, I see everything he foretold me coming true. Yeah, because he's making it come true, basically, as we learn at the end of this episode. But back in the loft, the queens have a nice little sibling talk, and she talks about how Thea talks about how she doesn't recognize who she was before their mom died, and, she thinks she's just as messed up as Malcolm, and that hurts my soul.
Yeah.
She leaves to buy him soup, though. And then Oliver is like, tells him about the offer, and Malcolm's like, bruh, that was not an offer. It was a demand. And he tells him about the prophecy and stuff. So later, Oliver goes to find Felicity in the foundry. Felicity doesn't want Oliver to take the offer. She's like, you need to figure out, like, we figured out why we do this. Now it's your turn.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, really? He was only gone a week. Just, ugh. I mean, I think that at the end of the day, that is the problem. He was literally only gone like a week. I mean, how much can really change in a week?
Yeah.
I mean, they do have a bit of a backbone, but imagine if he would have been gone 3 months.
Right.
Or like, say that happened at the end of this season and he had the whole 5 months to be there and maybe even take the offer. And they have to bust in and like he's brainwashed or something. Like they just really dropped the ball with that whole thing. And I think that's where my disappointment really stems from.
That would make sense. Well, and there were such high hopes for it at the beginning of the season.
But knowing Malcolm was going to be here for 18 episodes really kind of put me in a bad place for this season anyway. He better die at the end of the season. That's all I'm saying. What happens after that? Diggle and Roy return with the lead on the diamond stealing killer, and he goes to the precinct. At the precinct, oddly enough, Laurel's there to visit her father, who is also ignoring calls from Felicity. Yay! At least Felicity actually gets in on this too, because it just wouldn't be right if she was the only one not out in the cold. Because, the writers tend to write Felicity as Saint Felicity as of late. She can do no wrong. She can say no wrong. And I'm just glad that somebody's ignoring her because it feels real. But anyway, Laurel goes, she gives them the spiel about, she wants to start healing their relationship. And Lance just straight up says, I love you because you're my daughter, but I don't know if I can forgive you.
Ouch.
Why would you mess up the Lances? Like, the Lances started off on rocky turf and they became so near and dear to my heart, specifically Laurel and Quentin. Like, why would you do this? They're the only, like, I guess because they healed Thea and Oliver, they feel like they can do this, but I think it's a huge misstep.
This is not good. because Quentin doesn't have he's not a spiteful, vengeful kind of person, and it's turning him into that.
But we saw it in the flashback, though, is the thing that, you know, he did say some really mean, hurtful things to her.
Agreed.
I hope he doesn't fall off the wagon.
Yep.
Then that would really break my heart. And then that triggers a cardiac event. I can just see it now. It writes itself. So the gunmen break in, and just in time, Arrow and Arsenal come in, and guess what? Nyssa showed up too to help. So just a bunch of costume-clad heroes kicking butt, taking names. And Arrow saves Lance's life, and he's like, everybody flees, and then outside, the Arrow sees Murmur and knocks him out. And Lance comes outside. Yes. Is this the part where Lance comes outside, and he goes, what are you waiting for, a thank you? And he goes, I don't do it for the thank you. And I'm like, really? You were like I said, he literally just had this conversation with Felicity, and he's kind of parroting this stuff back. And it's just like, you have to be your own man, Oliver. You can't keep letting everybody else decide for you. It's just really bothering me. It's like, oh, I have a renewed sense of purpose, but do you really?
And can you have that epiphany that quickly and for it to mean something?
But I don't know. He is dense, man. He is really dense. And it's time for him to really grow up and make some actual decisions himself. So these flashbacks, as you can tell, I've been kind of avoiding it. It's basically Oliver and Akio fleeing from Argus agents in a botanical garden. Like, literally, that's all that happened. And then he runs into Shadow at the last one.
Do you know it won't end well?
I bet you. She's pregnant and she has the kid, and we're doing that stupid storyline. I bet you money. Because remember, right before Sarah showed up, they had sex.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God. And he's already got another baby's mama wandering around freaking Central City.
That's true.
Oh, God. I mean, I'm happy to have Selena J back in any capacity outside of a love triangle. So I'm just trying to be positive about it. Oh, so back in Starling City, Laurel finds Nyssa waiting for her, and Nyssa wants to talk about their daddy issues and have dinner. And Nyssa offers to help train Laurel. And I love that.
Yes.
And also, one of the best things also happened right after that. Over in the Glades at Roy Harper's apartment, Thea shows up and wants to stay with him. And they kiss. I'm so happy. I hope this sticks and this isn't just one of those I'm mad and I have nowhere to go kind of things.
Yeah.
It's been 16 episodes. It's time for Roy and Thea to get back together. Let's stop joking around. I hope these two I hope Roy decides to kind of break away from the Arrow for now, and then him and Thea can go like patrolling the Glades together. And then like every now and then they run into Nyssa and Laurel. I think that would be so cool.
That actually would be kind of cool.
Okay, and so the last like twist for twist's sake, we see a group of criminals attacked by a man in the Arrow suit, but it's the fake Arrow who lets one man escape and tells him to spread the word. Do you know who the fake Arrow was?
Cause could it be some ghoulish guy?
Indeed it was, madam. Indeed it was. He's making that prophecy that he told Oliver that the city would turn on him come true. Faster.
Yeah, faster.
So yeah, that's where we end.
Wow.
Yeah, just lay sigh, really. It's like I said, I enjoyed the lady parts of this episode. I did. I enjoyed Felicity and Ray together. I enjoyed Nyssa and Laurel together. I just enjoyed Thea and Laurel together. The ladies were holding it down for this episode. And Roy was pretty good in this episode, even though he was kind of Captain Obvious.
And Diggle uncrossed his arms.
They shouldn't have been crossed in the first place. Like, I'm so sick of that pose. Like,
yeah. It's
like, can he sit down? Can the man sit down?
They probably make his pants too tight for that.
Well, no, he skips leg day. If you've ever seen Diggle when the team training, he skips leg day. The arms, huge. Legs, I love to tease David Ramsey. He's just out all over and he knows it. But Anyway, I'm looking forward to the Diggle-centric episode called Suicidal Tendencies, which is Arrow 317. It's spoiler alert, it is the wedding episode.
Woohoo!
And I'm just looking at that baby, and she does not look like either one of them.
No.
Not a mix, not a nothing. I'm just saying.
But we get Stupid Cupid back, too.
We do. I love Amy Gumnick. I was not that crazy about Cupid, but they usually actually have a tendency to tone characters down over the course of appearances.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a team environment, so I'm very interested to see what they do with this character.
Yes.
So let's give it a grade for this.
This mess.
Oh, ouch.
I'm wiggling between C and C minus. It's just Batman rehashed. I mean, that's all it is. And it's really aggravating.
Yeah, I totally get where you're coming from. For me, this was definitely a C minus. Like I said, the ladies held it down, but the story really actually honestly didn't move much.
No.
And it was really painful to watch the Lances. I really hate that they decided to go that course. I really feel like they're phasing out Paul Blackthorne's character of Quentin Lance, which I think is a big, huge misstep.
Yes.
We need a serious adult on the show. And who better to have Paul Blackthorne? He classes up the joint. Let's just be real.
Yeah.
So I really hope that that's not the case. I hope that this is just they have something bigger and better in store for him for next season. Maybe he gets a Lazarus pit because he does get kidnapped. Now, Ra's al Ghul does kidnap him. Maybe he gets to take a dip in the Lazarus pit to heal that cardiac event. Maybe I'm just jumping the gun here. What was your favorite scene of the night?
I would have to say Thea and Roy. Because, man, did I need something good happening in this train wreck. Yeah, that and the whole Nissa and Laurel thing, that was neat too. Seeing some girl bonding with their daddy issues was nice. Yes, and I agree with you. I hope that Thea gets brought into it because she's had enough daddy issues on her plate too, to deal with. That the three of them could really become a strong force to deal with.
I think my favorite scene, it's Thea talking to Oliver, because I kind of feel the same way about Thea. Like, I have a hard time with the things that they make Thea be for the sake of the plot. So I felt like that was like a meta moment for me personally. She has been so many things. She's been the reckless party girl, the undying sister with so much faith in her brother, the broken flower, and now she's, BAMF, and and I like all the things that they've done with her besides the spoiled rich party girl. But that did actually end up having a point, so I understand why they did what they did.
Right.
Favorite line?
Favorite snark of the night was Captain Lance, of course. What? Standing around waiting for a thank you?
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Sometimes I feel like he does.
I know, right? During your fighting, your technique was competent. Laurel, why do I get the feeling that's your idea of a compliment? I have a really cool, most memorable moment, and it's something that probably nobody would guess what it was.
Okay, what is it?
It's when Arsenal is fighting the bad guys, and he's doing these lightning sidekicks. Like, he's come such a long way. He's not getting his butt handed to him anymore. And it was just a really cool visual of left to right, really quick, really quick. Like, it's one of those, like, it was one of the few parts of the fighting scenes that were like very intentionally shot. Like, it wasn't like, blurry in the background. Like, they really focused on it, and it looks so cool. What about you?
Goodness. For me, it was just neat seeing Laurel and Nissa walking and talking, and you know what I mean?
I wonder if they had sushi. Best character interactions.
Thea and Roy, Nissa and Laurel. Even though it was painful, Laurel and her dad. And I think Thea and Oliver.
You hit everyone except for one. And I say Ra's al Ghul and Oliver at the beginning of this episode. He was basically seducing Oliver.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I
Agreed.
enjoyed that a lot for some random reason. It feels like a slash fic is brewing in my soul right now.
Oh, no.
And I'm just trying to keep it in. Like, no slash fanfic right now.
Come into my hot tub, Oliver.
Very first scene, sister. Very first scene. So, I think that just about does it for all we have besides shameless plugs and self-promotion. On that note,
you can find me on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, and about anywhere else on the web at Super Squint. That's SuperSquint. I also write for voiceoftv.com, and I co-host Before the Bat with Phil and Tyler, and of course, Flashpoint with the lovely Miss Lilith.
Of course. You guys can find me on Twitter at Lilith Hellfire. You can find me on Tumblr, Lilith Fairy, hellfire.tumblr.com. You guys could check out my blog that's just for pop culture junkies and comic book geeks, littlepopculturevulture.blogspot.com. I also write for Voice of TV. I do the Arrow reviews. I also want to encourage you guys to give Channel 52 a listen, rate, review, and subscribe to that. It is a podcast dedicated to all things DC. I host it. Yes, our topic of the week is iZombie. I also co-host, my regular co-host for that show is a guy by the name of Charlie, who hosts the Flash Diaries, which is another really cute, adorable Flash podcast. So definitely check.
Make sure you download.
Yeah. Streaming doesn't count.
That's right.
You can find us on Twitter at QC_SMGpod. Our email is queenconsolidated.smg@gmail.com. Please do get in touch with us. We look forward to fan feedback. So we hope you've enjoyed our discussion of episode 316, The Offer. I'm looking very much forward to dissecting episode 317, Suicidal Tendencies, with Kelly next week. So unless you are stuck on a hellish island, we hope to have you back here next week. Until then,
Queen Consolidated, signing off.